Goeiedag, mijn naam is Evan, ik is immigratieprocureur hier in Amerika en ik wil jou helpen om immigratiewet te verstaan. Now, the South African regering is continuing to spread its web and nest of lies concerning this raid of a perfectly lawful, sovereign exercise of the power of the United States to conduct refugee interviews for this internationally recognized humanitarian refugee program. And thank you all for sending me this information as it becomes available to you. I got this email this morning that on the website of the International Relations and Cooperations, Department of International Relations and Cooperations, Republic of South Africa, they posted a press release, and this came out yesterday, where the title is South Africa reaffirms sovereign immigration enforcement and U.S. on data allegations will be addressed through diplomatic channels, which, by the way, have someone with some semblance of a brain sit there and come up with titles for these things. That gave me a headache just simply reading it. And for the record, I'm not going to hold any punches with today's video, because the more that South Africa continues to try and justify this, the angrier that I get. And we've got to come to some realization here. If you go back and watch the last 3 videos that I've posted, the bigoted, racist, socialist comments from Malema's ilk, the ANC, the groups that are actively persecuting Afrikaners and ethnic minorities in South Africa, it's disgusting. It's disgusting to see. And the fact that the South African regering is the now, clearly, with evidence, the persecutor of Afrikaners and other minorities in South Africa, it makes it exponentially more terrifying. But through their actions, we see what their intent is, and that's at least one of the silver linings to all of this, that we can now expose to the world how corrupt and how racist and bigoted and targeting of minorities the South African regering really is. So this is only a few sentences. I'll put it up on the screen, but let's go through it point by point. It says the recent deportation of 7 Kenyan nationals by the Department of Home Affairs was conducted in strict accordance with South African immigration law. Fine, we've 100% said that is the right of South Africa as a sovereign independent nation to enforce immigration laws. However, I'm still waiting. Now 3 days removed, 4 days removed, a couple of days removed, I'm still waiting for proof that the South African government did any other sort of immigration enforcement on that day anywhere else in South Africa. Because they didn't. There is no record of it at all, because this was not about immigration law. Immigration law and the Kenyans being here on the inappropriate visas was just smoke and mirrors for the true intent of the raid, which is to get information on Afrikaner refugees. Let's continue. These individuals were engaged in work without the necessary work permits. Fine. The government will not negotiate its sovereignty and the implementation of the rule of law. You know what? You will. You will, and you're going to. Because what you as a government are doing now is you are actively pushing and you are actively fomenting and creating persecution against an ethnic minority in South Africa that is close to, if not leveling on, the level of genocide in the country. So you will face the repercussions of another sovereign nation stepping in order to stop what is going on inside Africa. So, of course, you can execute your rule of law, but when you execute your rule of law, you have to do it in a way that isn't blatantly racist and bigoted and targeting an ethnic minority in your country. Because, as I've said, there is no proof anywhere else in any document, in any news articles, news resource I've looked at, that South Africa did any other sort of immigration enforcement on that day to any other group than this group of Kenyans that was working for the United States government. Goes on, separately, we have noted an unsubstantiated allegation regarding the private information of U.S. officials. South Africa treats all matters of data security with the utmost seriousness and operates under stringent legal and diplomatic protocols. We categorically reject any suggestion of state involvement in such actions. Lies. Lies, 100% lies. How else do you get an actual copy of a U.S. diplomat's passport, unredacted, clear as day, and have Twitter users, X-users, posting that out on the internet? That was clearly linked from a government source, from a South African regering source. So, again, don't pee on me and tell me it's raining. This is clearly a leak from the South African government, and South Africa, you're going to be held accountable for it, because it's ridiculous. You have doxed a U.S. diplomatic official, who, by the way, was from Burkina Faso. So we talk about all this nonsense of racism. Here you have people of African descent working for the U.S. government in order to help Afrikaner refugees flee persecution inside Africa. So let's call a spade here. All this racist race baiting is nonsense. It's just meant more to try and remove people from wanting to help Afrikaners and Afrikaner refugees. So no, this is nonsense. The South African regering is directly responsible for the doxing of this U.S. diplomat and his diplomatic passport. That information could have come from nowhere else. Let's not even split hairs here. At the end, nonetheless, we remain committed to principled and transparent diplomacy. Lies. Continuous lies from this government. Official channels have been opened to the United States government to seek clarity on this allegation and to reinforce that our bilateral engagements will be grounded in mutual respect and factual dialogue. No, the United States does not owe South Africa any respect. When you persecute an ethnic minority, when you push and you push and you push to the level where you have at least stage 7, if not 8, on the 10 stages, 10 steps of genocide, you are not owed any respect from the most powerful nation the world has ever seen. In fact, we've opened diplomatic channels and we've said, you will hold the person who leaked this accountable or there will be consequences. There's no negotiating. And I know that this government will stand firm behind what it said. There's no negotiation here. And you know what? It's time that we need to be really clear on something. The world is not fair. Life is not fair. And one of the things you have to understand is the United States, as I've said many times in this channel, is the most powerful country the world has ever known. Without question. Whether that's militarily, economically, culturally, you can't argue against it. And we're going to have our way with this, which our way is the correct one morally, and even if you want to talk about spiritually here, because there is an oppressed ethnic minority that is facing persecution, if not genocide, and the United States is going to step in and intervene in order to do what needs to be done to protect this group of people and other ethnic minorities facing persecution inside Africa. So you can cry all you want about South Africa's independence and sovereignty and the right to do what it wants, yeah, within reason, until it steps on our interest as the United States of America. And I hate to say that because that sounds so, like America-centered, but that's the way of the world. South Africa, you have managed in 30 or 40 years to go from a first world nuclear power where the world's first heart transplant was done, with one of the most thriving economies in the world, to barely, maybe just above what is a third world nation at this point, with inability to have infrastructure providing power, failure of roads, all of the economic collapse, everything that has gone on. Yet you think you deserve respect from the United States of America? When, failed state aside, we can respect and have respect for a failed state. What we can't have respect for is a failed state that persecutes minorities within its borders. And in this case, that being Afrikaners and other ethnic minorities inside Africa. So you're not deserving of any respect of the United States until you get your house in order. And we can, and we will, if it serves our interest, violate the sovereignty of other nations. I hate to say it, but that is the intent of America first. And you see that with Venezuela, you see that with our relationships with Israel. We're going to do what most benefits us. And if that offends your delicate sensibilities, then do something to make your country more than what it is. Because the way of the world is not fair. That's just the way it is. We can all want to hold hands, sing kumbaya, but we know that's never going to happen. So the United States can flex its economic and military might here and say, South Africa, hold these people accountable for what you did, acknowledge what you did, which was a raid on a lawful U.S. program at a center to help Afrikaners become refugees, admit why you did it, which was to collect data on them to continue the persecution against them and other ethnic minorities, and let's not, blow smoke up each other's butts here. Let's be realistic as to what's happening. So all of the detractors in the comments can say, all they want South Africa can do. We are a sovereign nation. Sure, until you come up toe-to-toe against the United States, which President Trump has made it a prerogative of this administration, of this government, to protect and to help Afrikaners who want to come to the United States and those who want to stay inside Africa. So if you are going to confront us on this agenda issue, if you're going to try and get in the way of this, then there are going to be repercussions of it. And that was clear. So open all the diplomatic channels you want concerning all of the lies that you have, and talking to the South African government here, all the lies you have pushed forward concerning this raid. Our diplomatic channels, we've already told you what's going to happen. You are going to hold people accountable or there will be consequences. You are not going to interfere with this refugee program. You're not going to interfere with us helping Afrikaners. If you continue to do so, there will be consequences. That's it. So as always, remember to like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you for the next video.